I count seven, which I believe is a quorum. Is that correct? Oh, am I on? People hear me? Okay.
Yes.
I believe
Yes.
I believe we have a quorum. We have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven.
Yep, we're good.
Okay. Good to go. Then we'll call the meeting. Or do people want to wait a moment to? Okay, Patrick. Okay. Call the meeting
Yeah,
to order.
people are coming in. Hey, in the meantime,
Yeah.
can someone send me the link or just attach the agenda? I know I keep asking for it, and I'm sorry, I just can't search through folders to find an agenda. It's just not what I'm built to do.
Okay, I'll send it to you right now.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a quorum, so we'll call the meeting to order. Okay. Secretary's ready?
We're all set. 7
Okay. Okay.
701.
Okay, so call the meeting to order. We have a quorum is present. First item after that is to adopt the agenda at the request of Patrick. I have moved the mural team project report up very high on the agenda because he's apparently got small children that he wants to attend to. When so as a courtesy to him, I've put that up that high. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, seems to be yes.
Very okay. Thank you very much, Stu.
Yeah, thank you. Next item is the approval of the 2020 of the November draft minutes. And do we also have to approve the October draft
We
minutes?
do.
Okay. The one
We do.
correction I have on the, I think it was whichever minutes referred to Karen, her last name is spelled Leamy.
Leamy. I changed it right
Okay,
after. I almost
okay.
sent you another one going like I just fixed it.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
figured we'd see each other here.
Okay. So any other comments, clarification? Yeah, Dean, were you seeking?
Yeah, that same thing about Susan and Karen, wasn't it the other way around? Wasn't Susan kind of prompting up something about Karen? But it said it's the minutes suggested something that Karen said something positive about Susan, but it was actually Susan kind of telling us that Karen could take on a larger role. Wasn't
It was the board was giving a, and I'll see if I can switch over to the, because I've got the current minutes open. So I don't know if I can actually read the language exactly, but Susan had requested that the board acknowledge Karen's efforts as her assistant was what it meant technically, and then beyond that, it kind of has this implication about, you know, I'll leave it for each person to figure out what it implies on its own. But
I thought I read that Karen was acknowledging Susan's effort in the minutes.
No, it's acknowledges Karen Lamy in her support of it's ambiguous. Yeah, I can see the potential confusion there. How about change it to at Susan's request, the board acknowledges Karen Lamy's strong support for the DRD efforts.
Yeah, that's seemed to reflect it better.
Okay. The board, I've got it open. The board acknowledges.
At Susan's request, the board acknowledges with appreciation Karen's strong support for the DRD efforts.
At Susan's request. Susan's request.
The board acknowledges with appreciation.
Acknowledges with appreciation.
Karen Lamy's strong support for the DRD efforts. Period.
Karen Lamy. Why? Support
for the DRD efforts.
DRD efforts. DRD.
Yeah. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. Okay, so with that clarification of on the November minutes and also the October minutes, can we approve them both together, Dean? Were you seeking?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just abstain from October since I wasn't present, but
Okay, but if we could have a motion to approve both sets of minutes as clarified.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Phil moves and Dean
Second.
seconds. Okay, further comments or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, and
Kai abstained.
Dan, note Kai's abstention on the October vote.
Okay, who was
Yeah.
our second on that?
Dean,
Dean. And did we do both the first?
we did
and
both.
second?
Yeah, we did both at
Oh,
at
I've
once.
got Dean moves. Who is actually the first?
Phil.
Phil. Okay, Phil moves. Dean second.
Okay, Shali, can you mute? Thank you. Okay, then moving on. Oh, do we I see we have some, we have some members of the public here. Do we have do we have communications from the public? Seeing none, moving on. I got nothing to say. Executive committee actions, there have been none. So Patrick, you're up. A mural team project report. I did not want to risk losing the links. So you'll see that I put the item where it is now on the agenda, but I kept the links where they are. So hopefully people will find them. So Patrick, you're up.
Great. Thank you very much, Stu. Appreciate everybody moving this up early into the agenda. So last November we had a call and I was remote and had some difficulty connecting, but we agreed that this would be a very important meeting to give everyone an update and assurances on how the mural is progressing and the momentum that we have or are gathering. So I sent out a report in December here there were two attachments plus the report. So the main things on this are we have had two major undertakings. One is in the area of fundraising and that I'd like to report on. And I sent a spreadsheet or a snapshot from that and asked people to have another look at that. And the other one is the call for artists. So we are proceeding on a schedule to we have critical mass on staff right now on the team for 2024, and the call for artists is a very important factor, but without money in a different from another source than traditional, the project just won't proceed. So I'm really pleased to report that the fundraising has gotten off to a very good start here. We got some initial, we got some people that were ready to write us a check immediately. And we had some that were just asked us for more information and said they'd mull it over. And a lot of people gave us referrals. So what I sent out, let me talk about fundraising first. First of all, I have to say, thanks for the people that are on here that have done a lot of work on the team. I see Shali's on here. We'll get to her real push lately has been on the artist call for artists. And Phil Ryan, who's our rep here, who's worked on that extensively, and Anna. But let me say that we've very quickly, we got a $2,500 donation from the Alexander Company. And not only did they write us a good check, but they said that they would be willing to act as a reference in talking to others. So that was a very good donation.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, just to crack the ice, right? Just break the ice and get things moving that was a very nice one. So we've got other similar companies. The list that you see here, I could share my screen if you'd like, but everybody has this attachment as well. Whatever you prefer. But looking at this, who we've gone out to, and we've really leveraged the connections from Jonathan Cooper, who is the Bassett district rep. in the, he leads the Bass District within the Capital Neighborhoods Incorporated. So he's a wonderful person to have on the team. And I actually went and visited with him. We visited or talked and visited to companies yesterday. So that's, this is already needs to be updated. So if you look through here, you'll see, you know, who's our contact, who's the, did we send them a letter in an email? Do we actually visit them or talk to them in person? Who was the lead for that? When did we last do this? And then what are the notes or comments on these? So some of these, we've sent this out with the idea that we'll hit them or come back right after New Year if we haven't heard anything yet. One of the bigger ones, Stu, thanks for your help on Findorf. That's, I think there's a number of connections we have with Rich Lynch. One of the, let's see, moving down, if anybody knows anybody, and Jeff, thank you for your comments on the legal fronts.
Yeah, you know what? I'll in the next week or so put together a list with contacts, and then we can talk later about whether you want me involved or just refer to me. I'm on the board, whatever works. But I think the starting place, I'll put together a list of medium and large firms with contacts that I'll be surprised if we get nothing. Some maybe more than others potentially.
Yeah, I've had 2 or 3 people. You're was another person who said that legal groups typically have some type of a foundation or almost an obligation to donate.
Not small. You know, I wouldn't go to small firms. You know, but you got 10 or more lawyers, you got a lot of money coming through there, and one way to take care of that is have like a charitable thing going.
Oh, that's great. Thanks. Well, one of the ones if you could send it to mural.com or you send it to me. Okay. I'll be out for the next week, but the mural team is going to meet on the 28th of December for a special.
I'll try to do it before that.
That would be great. Thank you. Okay. One I really want to point out here is C.G. Schmidt, which is at 433 West Washington. We met in person with Vice President Sarah Dunn, and she had a lot of advice for us. They do building assessments, and they've done a lot of work in the area here. So they're headquartered in Milwaukee, but their second office is here. She's based here, and she asked us for a lot of different. Says, well, what's your website look like? Well, we said, well, we're working on that, and I mean that's we have the call to artists that comes out soon. This was a wonderful meeting where she asked us about a lot of. She gave us a lot of advice. She offered to give us meeting space if we need to have a presentation. You could seat 30 people in there. This was a wonderful, very encouraging discussion. If anybody has any other, like Madison Community Foundation, I think we have to make sure that we don't interfere with existing fund drives here.
Patrick, I have connections at the Community Foundation, with Delta Properties, with Urban Land Interests. I was going to say also with Sarah Dunn, but that's already been covered. So if any of those would be helpful for you.
I think the Delta would very much, thank you, Stu, that ULI, Urban Land Interest, this was a very interesting one. We had a call with them yesterday to Brad Binkowski's administrative assistant, and through a group a lunch that I attend regularly, Dave Boyer is the head of their board, and he suggested that we actually ask somebody to Urban Land Interest to get ask them for a community roundup on their rent. So you have all these people, quarter row across the street, Tobacco Lofts 727 9 line. Would the occupants there, the renters, be willing to round up their rent for 1 month to support the project? So there's some pretty interesting ideas there. So I think we are on the way with urban land interests. If
Okay.
you want to let me know your contact or something, that would be
Well, it's
that
Tom
much more.
Newyar, it's Tom Newyar and Brad Binkowski and Ann Newyar Morrison.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, if as that progresses, we may need your. I'll come back to you on that one.
Okay. I know. I have some connections at Potter Lawson.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Great.
The one thing though, Susan has been grooming Vaughn and Bowler for some time, and even though they're in the neighborhood, she thinks that she's got a good possibility of getting significant money from them for the journalism collaborative. So I'm concerned about, stepping on what's already been a relationship that's been developed with that one firm.
Okay, yeah, we've heard that we have to be very careful because of special, or that's one of those that falls into the existing relationship for operating revenue.
Yeah.
So we can hold off on that. Someone suggested maybe we should just let them know that we're doing this and thank them for their other support.
Well, why don't you talk offline with Susan about that and see what's how the best way to proceed is.
All right. I'll make a note of that. Yeah, we were not going to approach them, but yeah, other legal firms, I think most definitely. Others that came up, Madison Gas and Electric Foundation, a couple of people told us to go after that. There are a couple of law firms that are in the 433 West Wash. We haven't connected yet with, I won't go through this line by line, but if anybody else has a question or comment, an email or something would be great.
Okay.
Maybe Foley and Lardner as well, if they're not on the list yet.
Foley and Wagner?
Foley and Lardner, yeah.
Trust me, I've been a lawyer in Dane County for 38 years, and I know people in a lot of firms. So I will put together, certainly if there are other people who want to pitch in, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting people shouldn't put names down, but I won't put a law firm down if I don't have a contact there. And as to what's going on, I was just typing a message between, Susan has some legitimate concerns. I actually think it's not a bad idea. You guys should talk about it to potentially just pitch both projects. And I don't think this is a matter of cannibalizing, WRT's pledge drive or other, ways we raise money. I think I think if you give law firms a choice, they're going to feel more empowered to choose one instead of potentially choosing zero.
Okay. Great, Jeff. Any a personal introduction is just golden for this.
Of course, yeah,
absolutely. Okay, and I think that's about it for fundraising. Let me say the other main thing that I really wanted to mention here is the call for artists. So this is really a work in progress. You've got the latest iteration. Phil Ryan, thank you very much for putting together the initial scope on this, or basically the straw man, the first pass, and then Shali went and dressed that up. And really, thanks for the work that you did on that. You got a copy. We thought it's better to give you the draft than polish it, and this is really a critical path step for the project to get the grant application into the city facade program. So it's this is a top priority right up there with the funding. So
well, my immediate reaction was it looked good, but I think we need to inform the artists that there are some restrictions on what can be contained relative to the business inside, and we should give them a link to the full sign ordinance, but B, we should specify exactly what the language is that restricts. Like we can't, it cannot incorporate our name. I don't think it can incorporate. I don't think we could replicate the design that we have now because it would violate the sign ordinance. So I think, in fairness to the artists who may not think that there are relevant restrictions, we should excerpt the relevant ordinance in the document. It's my suggestion.
Yeah, okay, I think there's been a lot of dialogue on this, and I was at first really concerned, and Mike Verveer, the alder, has kind of assured me that it's not as rigorous a process as it used to be, but I'd rather err on the side of caution, Stu, like you suggest. And
well, Verveer knows. Verveer knows. The all I remember is that George Coles couldn't put his own name on his building because of thing. But if Verveer knows more, if Verveer says it's all copacetic, go with Verveer. Ms. Pittman is seeking recognition.
Okay, I think that the first objective in the version that you were giving, we're talking about sketches and such, and what we're really going to look at is experience rather than trying to get so that people know what kind of people with experience in Madison area already. So this would really get this down to a short list of just a handful.
Okay.
So also we don't want, I defer more to our artists in the group here, Maria and Anna and Shali, who have a lot of experience in working with this type of outreach into the artistic community. But yeah, how the step we would, this is a two-step process. Let me just say that. So the first step, we're going to pare back the scope, and we're going to try to do this quickly, more like early February than late February. We want to get this out into the public before the end of December now. And with any comments that you have, we will finish the call to artists and issue that. But I would hope that anybody who has experience in doing murals around here has a pretty good idea of what the restrictions are.
Okay.
And they should, we don't want to hit roadblocks later.
Never mind.
Okay. All right. Any other comments in that regard? I mean, we will send this out. If there's any other comments that you have on details in there, or anything that any major you want to affirm or comment, suggest a change of any kind, we're going to do this a week from now. It is our intention. So is this something that we should call to a vote if there's any, or do we need any formal?
Do we, Stuart? I don't think so.
I think this is just a progress report. If anybody has any concerns, now would have been the time to raise them. I think, other than my one comment, which has now been superseded, I don't see anybody saying anything other than, yep, okay, keep going.
Okay.
I would go further. I would say it looks great. I'm excited.
No, thank you. Thanks. I'm pretty excited too about this. I think it's we've been given a lot of assurances about funding, and I think really is just to get into the details of getting the artist and the concept on board, which will be a lot of fun for the next steps that we have here. Is to actually review the ideas that we have.
Cool. I bet we'll even get some media about it.
I think, yeah, Jeff, the publicity is something that we had kind of held off on, but we're getting a lot of feedback that people want to see that now.
Oh, yeah.
And I think
you can figure out the timing, but people like to see a picture. So it might be when we get these submissions, maybe some examples of what's coming in.
Yeah, I think that definitely in-house, we need to do that. And people that want to donate money want to see something in the press. Okay, I
Okay.
think that's about it. The lighting is one thing that has kind of come up as an extra item in the scope. We'll have to work on that. Mark France is a contractor that does work in restoring buildings. Phil, you've also got experience in this area, and Mark's kind of a general. Mark France is a general contractor, so lighting is something that we want to look at. He's got some creative ideas also of what you could highlight with lighting, how this would look at night, which might be pretty intriguing. Let's wait and see what we get on that. Okay. Anything else from? I think that's about all I need to say right now.
Laura is seeking recognition. Yes, Laura.
I just wanted to double check. The agenda would indicate that you were looking for an action from the board on the call for artists, but you don't need that.
We're going ahead with it. If we wanted to run this by you to see what kind of concerns we have, and Stu will certainly follow up and make sure that people are savvy on the regulatory aspects here. If there's anything else, so I think we will proceed. We'll send something out, and rather than January, this is going to be the end of the month. And thank you for your support.
Okay. Thanks very much, Patrick. Good luck. Keep going.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Thanks, Stu.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to sign off.
Okay.
All right.
Dean, you're up.
Okay, you've got the so I'm learning things with every meeting. What you receive from me is called the treasurer's report. The finance committee minutes, you also receive. Anything to be acted on will be in there, plus I'll bring it to your attention on my report. So big thing that is going to be a priority would be the audit prep. And we're coming at that from two separate, three areas there. One is that there are things that staff do automatically in report repairing, and things that the auditors will send them that they want to see, and then the staff will prepare those things. That's done yearly. The second thing that is something that treasurer's responsibility is to do reconciliations, monthly reconciliations, which we've gotten way behind on. And this is 2 years where we've had problems in staying on top of that. So as I've mentioned twice now, I've got information on how to do this. It's going to take time to catch up because we're pretty much a whole year behind on these, and they all have to be done. They don't take long to do, but they weren't done. So now we've got to do all of them before the audit starts, which this is not for a couple months, and I need a couple 4-hour days to finish them all, and I'll get caught up. And then you set up, then you go in every month and do it. It takes 20 minutes, half hour. So I'll be doing that. My goal is to get them done before the next board meeting, but certainly by the end of January. So that will be done, and that's part of board responsibility for audit prep. The third aspect of the audit is one of the recommendations that the auditors made last year was to get some audit prep support, some professional support to this. One of the groups suggested is one that several of us are very familiar with and can testify to their quality of work, is a group called Numbers for Nonprofits. And 2 of the members of the committee are going to reach out to that group, specifically a guy named Nick Nelson, I believe his last name is, who is the leader, executive director of that group. It is a nonprofit itself. And they assist with all kinds of nonprofit accounting and audit help. And we're going to talk with them to see if it's to our advantage to consider using them to assist us with audit prep so that we don't get dinged for any types of little negative reports. The way our budget's going right now, we're already ahead of our budget. As you did see in Sybil's report, she was able to get a donation of defibrillators, which we had budgeted $2,500 for. So we're moving along there. So, and we do have extra funds to account for bringing on someone like this. And there certainly will be a charge. Don't know what it will be or what exactly the scope of their services will be that we need, but we will talk with them, and then by the board meeting, I should be able to report back to you if we want to do that. Bring them on to help us with audit prep. But I will assure you that all the reports and the reconciliations will be done prior to the beginning of the audit field work that they'll do in our offices and asking for reports. So I'll get that all done, and then we'll be able to do it just once a month, and it doesn't take long at all. You have to physically be at the station, which no big deal. I like going there anyway. So that is the guts of the audit that's soon to be coming. The other thing is that you've got the financial statements show us we're doing okay. Comparative to others, they're always slightly different, but year by year, it's matching up fairly closely with all the others. Really nothing to be overly concerned with, but you always want to try to raise more and spend a little less. The dashboard that you're seeing there, we clarified the name of it. Like we did a lot of clarifications here. The treasurer's report, which I'm giving, as opposed to the finance committee minutes that you can look at. Which is kind of like a report, but it's the minutes, and you get that all sent to you, and it's all in our Google Docs thing. The dashboard we have there, we've included some narrative underneath it to kind of just name a little things, and like for example, the first one, you were looking at the two columns, and then there was a line running through it. What was that line? So now you know what that means, and we will add other comments in there to help clarify things. So now the dashboard is the official name of this thing. Some people would call it a snapshot, but officially and in auditing terms, a dashboard is a representative of the entire month. So it culminates, gives you a running total of here's 1 month. Here's what a 1 month looks like. A snapshot, which we toyed with calling it that because we're WORT and we can do things a little different because we do. But a snapshot in accounting terms is what do we look like at December 20th at 7:34, and they'll give you back. That's what you got. So you have that one moment in time. That's the snapshot, and that won't give you the entire month that the dashboard does. So that's why it's going to be a dashboard, and this is what it'll look like going forward. So that is my report. Thank you for the minutes. Voting on those minutes was important because we have to send particularly the minutes that show that we passed the budget to one of our funders. Community Shares needs to see that, so we'll take care of that. So that was something that we need to do. I wanted to alert you that every year we have to, it's important not to be late with the budget so we can meet that requirement. And it's really not hard to do our budgets and vote on them when we're supposed to. So that's another reason why we don't want to be late on those things. I've been in nonprofits where that didn't get their budget together until January and February, and then that causes problems if they're with Community Shares or some other funders that want to see that the board passed the budget. I'm pretty much, that's basically where we're at. Personally, I did tell you that I'm carving out more time starting in January to be able to spend at the station and working a little less starting January. So don't see any reason why I can't report back to you more progress on the auditing and the continued success in maintaining our normal incomes and expenses. So that's about it, Stu.
Okay, thank you, Dean. Does anybody have any questions for Dean? You know, the obvious takeaway looking at the credit union balances, it's nice to see the decline stop and reverse itself and start going up. We like that. Anybody else? Anybody have any questions or comments on the treasurer/finance report? Seeing none. Now I am not seeing the minutes. Are the minutes in here, Dean? Finance committee minutes, or were they sent separately?
Doug sent them. Is Doug with us today?
Doug is with us. Yes. Where am I?
Yeah, I'm here. I sent them to the committee. I didn't notice whether or not they had been forwarded on to the board.
Yeah, and well, actually, we have to approve them next month.
Right.
So, okay, I don't, there might be someone that can clarify the process. Do we send the minutes to the board and the finance committee prior to them being voted on and approved?
Yeah, the minutes, even if they're not linked to the agenda, they should at least be uploaded to the meeting file, meeting folder for that particular meeting. So
yeah, and I think maybe the easiest way to do it, Dean, is if going forward, the members of the finance committee approve the minutes by email before the board meeting so that we have time to upload them to the full board.
Okay.
Maybe that facilitate it, and then that would make it easier for same month reporting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there are some processing things that we're tightening up, and who takes the minutes and how they get out like this is another thing that we just resolved today.
Okay. Well, okay. So we will hold off on approving those minutes because we haven't seen them yet.
Well, the finance committee has to approve them. And,
right.
Right. But
Right.
not the board.
Okay.
But we can set, yeah, Doug and I will make sure you guys get the minutes at the meeting. We'll meet the week before. The minutes will be to you prior to the board meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Any other? Yeah, Laura, you're muted.
Seems to me that we should be approving something from the treasurer's report, though, don't you think?
Not normally, unless there's something the finance committee brings to you for a vote on, but financial statements don't need to be approved. The audit does at some point. There really isn't any votes necessary to accept finance statements.
It just seems that as a part of our fiduciary responsibility, we should be at least noting that we've reviewed this.
A motion to accept the treasurer's report would be in order.
That is correct. That is what I agree with.
Very good.
Okay, so it's
moved by motion Jeff. To it. I will move to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Laura and Jeff. Any comments, questions on that? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, and well, we've already approved the minutes, Shali, but we can talk about that later. Moving on then, okay, so we've got Shali and Susan and Doug here. So let's going down the list. Who comes up first? Susan, let's take the donor relations department report because Susan's with us. Susan, anything you want to call our attention to in your report?
Nope, just really busy right now trying to get the year-end stuff in order because Actually, what people don't seem to realize a lot of times is that December is our biggest month for individual donations. So that's where my efforts are right now.
Okay. Thank you for that. And congratulations to everybody who made the birthday boost so successful.
Oh, I forgot that. Yes. The birthday boost did the best it's ever done. So I was really happy to see that after seeing fall short. And the predictions for the end of the year nationally are that it's going to be short. I think that the fact that the gas prices really took a dive and inflation simultaneously really went down, probably as a result of that we saw people seeing a better economy. So I'm hoping that lasts through next year, but I think next year, as you see, as I noted in there, is going to be challenging because we are a swing state for elections. That's all.
Thank you. Dean.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the timing of sending out the end of year letter. I know it seems to be a little bit late, and people like to make their checks before December 31st for tax purposes. And is this the timing? Is this this how we did it the last couple of years?
Yep. Same timing, but the thing is that what has changed, Dean, is that because they significantly increased the amount of the standard deduction, people don't itemize anymore.
Yeah.
So we have not known, and hitting this late, actually the majority of donations, if you look nationally, if you Google when to people, it's the last 3 days. So we're hitting them right before.
Yeah.
It actually seems to work better than when we were sending them in late November.
Okay. Yeah, I've gotten at least 10 of them already, and
well, you'll be getting another one. I didn't take it off the list.
Yeah, so some of them are ones I do every year, and if our experience is showing us that this works better, great. I was just curious about it.
Okay. Kai.
Yeah, no, I just want to back on tax returns. The other thing is that they actually removed the free donation limit. It used to be that everyone could claim up to $300 of just donations straight up on their taxes without needing to exceed that certain amount to make it count for donations. But that's no longer the case. You can't just claim the free 300. Now you have to exceed your full deduction in order to make the deduction worth it. Otherwise, you have to choose whether to itemize or take the standard. But you did used to be able to do a little bit of double dipping in a way, but it was totally legal. It's just not the case anymore with the new tax changes for this upcoming year. So that's another reason why people might not be needing. So thought I'd mention that.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions for Susan on her report or her activities? Okay, then a motion to accept her report would be in order.
So moved.
Somebody second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Actually,
Aye.
I think we can, at this point, I'm going to assume that those motions are agreed to by consensus and that we don't need an actual vote on them. And if somebody thinks otherwise in a particular case, speak up. Otherwise, we're just going to do it by consensus. Moving on then to the News, Talk, and Public Affairs report. Shali had included the mural call to artists. I think we implicitly did that. We did not take a formal vote, but I think there was certainly a consensus among the board members that we were satisfied with the progress and wanted to keep going. Shali, anything else that you want to call to our attention, or anything you want to call to our attention in your report?
I just want to thank the mural committee for forging ahead. I also want to just shout out our part-time staff. I know if some of you board members at WORT peek your head in, they're all typing hard at their computers, but especially during the holidays when they're working weird hours to make sure we have pre-recorded programming. And, I included a status update about Diego, our fellow this year. They've been doing really great work. And so I just want to shout out my colleagues. And yeah, thanks. Happy holidays.
Is the fact that we only got 10,000 out of the 16 that we asked for from EVU going to be an issue?
I think Susan can answer that.
Okay.
Yeah, in my report, I noted that immediately after that, I met with a couple of major donors and they pretty much filled that gap immediately and are interested in further donations. And I haven't even approached a significant number of major donors, like even other people who I think would be very interested in funding, as I mentioned, in their kind of endowing chairs, but looking to fund every year one trainee at a particular cost. So I think we're going to have more than enough money for this collaborative, but I want some sense of having it set up so it can continue year after year, have people lined up for that. So that's where I'm going now.
Okay, thank you. Then if there are no other further questions for Shali, we will accept her report and move on to Doug's business development report. Doug, anything you want to call to our attention?
No, it's all pretty much there. I really enjoyed the training webinars that I've been attending lately, to strengthen both sponsorships of major events as well as underwriting. So those were really informative. One was NFCB, another one was Charity How To. I'll be off most likely the rest of the week because I'm having some dental surgery again tomorrow. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
The birthday bash was a lot of fun.
Where do you think we'll finish on the underwriting sales in relation to the budget?
I think I'm going to come up short, but I should come close. I already have like a 20% increase over last year, so I don't think I'll hit the 65 this year. That's part of the reason why I pulled back on my projection next year.
Okay. Okay. Any questions or comments for Doug on his report? Seeing none, then we will accept that by consensus as well. That's it for staff that we have. So does anybody have anything to raise regarding any of the other reports? I thought they all looked good. Does anybody have anything they want to call to the body's attention that, yeah, Dan?
What is there a story behind the disciplinary action that needs to get talked about? I wasn't sure.
Not an open session.
Yeah, do we need
not
to...
in open session? Not in open session.
Fair enough.
Any of the other reports that people have questions or comments regarding? Is the length of the voting, is that set in like bylaws or constitution? That's an awfully long voting period I mean, that was like going on for a month.
Yeah, I do agree, but it is in the election rules for the organization that any special election has to not only take place as soon as possible, but it has to follow the same procedures that a regular election follows, which includes a 30-day voting window. And I think part of that is some volunteers may not see their email right away. And yeah, but by January 8th, we will have a winner officially.
Yeah. Laura.
I just wanted to mention that probably about the time of our next board meeting, we will have begun installing one of the new boards in Combo A. So there's a lot of activity with the engineering committee and with Tom's tech and facilities. Just wanted to give people a heads up on that.
Yeah, thank you. Phil.
Yeah, I did have one question, and I don't think Sybil is here to answer it. It was raised in her report about getting a complaint about Christmas music. And I guess my question is more general in nature, and that's how much weight do we give to a single listener complaint, given the number of listeners that we have?
I think Shali, are you seeking recognition to respond to Phil's comment and question?
I can answer that.
Okay.
All programming issues, including listener complaints, are usually routed to the programming committee. Brief plug here, the programming committee does need a few members. I'm not sure if additional board members can serve, but they would get routed to the programming committee, which regularly reviews communications from the public and possibly the CAB. So the board itself doesn't need to consider it at all.
Jeff.
Just another thing that, at least in this case, did happen, and I think is pretty routine for Sybil, and I don't think it was just one complaint, because I think one complaint she would not alert, put in her report, or send, as she did, to all the folk in musicos. Like, she has a listserv for that. So, and we had a discussion about it, which I think is a good way of processing it, frankly. The bottom line is, it's actually against, she is not empowered to tell programmers how to program. So it's up to the DJ. But, a number of us said, me, I will never play Christmas music. I think there's plenty of places to get it. And for me, WRT is for things that you can't get anywhere else. But that's just me. So, people are going to complain. They just are. Ankur chimed in and said, hey, just bring me back for Thanksgiving if you want more complaints.
Any other comments or questions on any of the other staff reports? I thought everything looked pretty good. I think things are in good shape. So if there are no other questions or comments on staff reports, they'll all be accepted by consensus. Committee reports, going down the list. DEI, anything from DEI?
DEI did not meet this last month, so
okay,
nothing from DEI.
Okay.
Although I will note that Susan is stepping down from her activities, and we really could use some more membership.
Okay, so folks can consider that. Policies and bylaws met and continued our work on the volunteer handbook. I think we're getting really close. But before we let anybody see it, we're going to try and format it so it looks nice and is easier to read and make some sort of graphic sense. But we're awfully close, and it's going to be just a vast improvement over what we've got now. So I don't know if we can. Okay. Personnel committee, yes, you'll see we've made significant progress on the process for staff evaluations. The union and the personnel committee have agreed on the self-evaluation, the part-time evaluation, and the volunteer evaluation forms. Those have been loaded into, those are in the folder. I think it would be appropriate to have a board vote to accept those, because they should be, authorized. The one, I'll tell you, the one thing that there is potential, well, not potential, the one thing that there is not a complete meeting of the minds is the union would like all part-time staff and all volunteers to be required to fill out the evaluations of their supervisors. I think that could be problematic. I think I understand the reason is because the natural inclination is that the only people who respond to open-ended surveys are people who have something to complain about, and they believe that they'll get a more honest and accurate assessment of the volunteer interaction with the supervisors if it's a requirement. My concern, and I think some other people on personnel may have shared this, is that volunteers will say, wait a minute, no. I mean, they're volunteers who already don't sign the log, which is like a real serious thing. And I don't know how, I mean, I open up to the body how we want to resolve. Now we've got one staff person here who has significant reliance on volunteers. Doug and Susan don't so much have the great reliance that Shali and Sybil have. Shali, I invite your comment on whether or not you think it might be problematic to make filling out an evaluation of you to be a requirement of your volunteers.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that.
Oh,
I think I'm going to defer to Doug on this because I think he's a great representative for the staff, and we have requirements as a volunteer organization, is I guess what I would say. If it's a requirement with no punitive measures, I don't really see the problem, but
Charlie, that's kind of my concern. Like, to me, and maybe this is just my lawyer brain, if it's really a requirement, then there is consequences for not following it. Otherwise, it's not really a requirement, so why use that word? And that's my point.
I hear that as a normal policy-making body, and I'd invite you to look at it through the WORT lens, where that doesn't always apply. So, I mean, that's just my perspective, though. I don't feel like I'm the best spokesperson for this.
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
Managing a lot of volunteers, most people do follow the rules. I think we'll get a better response. I thank them for their time. Maybe we can include a gift card giveaway. I don't know. But Doug is a great representative, so I'll defer to him.
Okay. Before I turn to Doug, I do want to note that what personnel came up with and is recommending to you is requirement I'm sorry, Phil, I just caught this, that we need to amend. It should be all volunteers are required and part-time staff are highly encouraged. That, I think, is the way the personnel left it, is for part-time staff. Yes, that is a requirement that we can and should impose, but for volunteers it should say highly encouraged, because I think that's the best we can do. Doug, did you want to comment?
Only that I don't know if I can really sum up how all of staff feels about that. I personally have to say I think it's a great compromise.
What I just said?
I'm sorry, hello?
When you said compromise, were you referring to what I just said, or
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, because I think requiring part-time staff, but I like the language of strongly encouraged, because I think that will be more likely to incite positive comments as well as negative comments. It's more of a stronger invitation to do it and more compelling. So I personally am okay with it. The problem is I don't know that I really feel like I could speak for the rest.
Okay.
I like it personally.
Okay, Susan.
I did like the fact that we added that if you have a strongly agree or strongly disagree, that you need to give actual examples, because I think that sometimes that gives some context to when people want to say something, have something negative that they want to offer. And, there's, I'm sure, genuine negative things that constructive criticism that volunteers can offer, but I'm glad that it's in the context of examples being required, which weren't part of our past questions for volunteers. They just could give a reaction without explaining what that was based on. So I do appreciate that that's in there now. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And even as we speak, Phil is amending the document so it reads, requiring all part-time staff and highly encouraging all volunteers to fill out evaluations for each of their supervisors. Is that something that is acceptable to the body? And we can send it back. The overall response from the union on the volunteer and part-time, there are 8 items in it. And when I got the email back from Nate Rasmussen, and is what he said was, we've made so many substantial changes that, I'm not going to give you a red line copy. You'll just have to compare, the 2 documents, because we made so many significant changes. And I said, okay, this could be troublesome. And I call up the personnel committee document, and I call up the union document, and of the 8, 3 of them they've accepted verbatim as to what we proposed, and the other 5, they made minor editorial changes which improved the document. So I think he may have been speaking sarcastically, but I think that the document, as the union, other than this one point about requirement and volunteering and encouraging, I think the document as returned from the union was an improvement over what the personnel committee did. And as someone who takes excessive pride in his work, in his wordsmanship, that is a major thing for me to say. So I really do appreciate the nice job that the union did. Yeah, Doug.
Yeah, I just would like to tail end onto that and just really send a shout out to my fellow staff members, because we all really took these documents seriously. We spent a great deal of time in staff meetings hammering out language that the 7 of us completely agreed with. And really to watch that process happen with this collective was really great to see. And I just wanted to send that shout out to my fellow staff members, because what could have been a very painful process was actually something that was very constructive for us to do.
Very good.
So, thank you.
Very good. Okay. I hear Phil typing. I'm not seeing any cursors move. And I'm unable. Okay.
I don't think that was my typing.
Oh, okay. Heard somebody typing. And why am I unable to get into the document? Are you the only one who can get into the document right now, Phil?
I have it open now while I'm making changes to it.
Okay, but I mean, I've got it open on my desktop, and I'm unable to get it. I'm not able to do anything to it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know exactly how Google Drive handles.
Okay. Okay. Can you? Okay. Well, could you make it read? Just strike the WORT is requiring. No, up in the top and under the, yeah. If you can make it read, all part-time staff are required. Just strike. Yeah, just go. So all part-time staff are required to complete a separate evaluation for their supervisor. All part-time staff are required, comma, and all volunteers are highly encouraged, comma.
Is that where you wanted the comment?
Yeah, no, if the sentence should read, all part-time staff are required, comma, and all volunteers are highly encouraged, comma, to complete a separate evaluation questionnaire for their supervisors.
I see.
Yeah. Yeah, so we can. Okay, yep. And the comma after encouraged. And then just strike each of.
Yep.
And so, to complete a separate evaluation questionnaire for their supervisors, period. And then delete that. And yeah, actually, we should keep that and to do so. Yeah. Okay. So as amended, thank you, Phil, for doing that. Is that acceptable to the body as amended that way? And we'll just send it to Nate and hope that, upon consultation with that when the union consults with the collective, they will mutually agree that this is acceptable. With that, any questions or comments on either of these documents? And my understanding, Doug, is that the staff is legitimately interested in this process happening, that it's been,
Absolutely.
we
Yeah,
appreciate,
absolutely.
we appreciate
It's
that.
a long time coming, and feedback is good,
Yeah.
and we all appreciate it. It's good to get the good strokes as
Yeah.
well as bad strokes, so like both are helpful.
Yeah. Now, we are still yet to actually devise what the process is, but this is the first step. And I think that even before we come up with what the actual, okay, this happens and this happens and this happens and this happens, once Nate signs off on what I think is a minor amendment, once Nate signs off on this, then we can at least start the information collection. We can distribute these and people can start filling them out as we continue to work on what the actual process is. So if that's okay with people, if there are any questions or comments, for
Just
this.
our thanks to the personnel committee for their work on this.
Oh, thank you. And our thanks to the union. I think it was a good process. For this, I do want a motion. So actually it's the report of the personnel committee as amended. So the item is before us, both the volunteer part-time questionnaire and the self-evaluation and the peer and self. We've already done.
The peer was voted on in November.
Right. So this is the staff and the self and staff and volunteer in part. Thank you. So if there are no further questions on that, the motions before us from the committee is amended. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Thank you very much.
Jane,
Yes. Dan,
I
note
abstained from the vote.
That
Dan,
Doug
did you?
abstains.
Yeah, get that. Okay. Okay. Any?
I'd just like to clarify that it
Yeah.
is revision 3 that we voted on and approved.
If that's the document that we were
Revision
working on,
3,
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, thank you very much. And that actually sort of leads into the lingering bit of old business, which is the board staff retreat, which I think is important. I think the thing that we need to have a open-ended mute conversation about is the overall board staff relationship, what the staff, what it means to have a staff collective, what the board staff relationship is, what the board does, what the union does, what the collective does. I think that's a conversation that would be beneficial for all of us. And I think it should I know it should take place before we get into the bargaining process for the new contract. And I think that we really need to come back in January or February with an idea on how we're going to make this happen. Doug, do you and I want to work on this together? Do you want me to take the laboring, or how do you see this best proceeding?
I'd be happy to work with you on that, because then I could confer with staff in weekly staff meetings on the subject, and I think we could get something together.
Okay. Is that okay with the body that Doug and I will meet and consult and start putting some together to make this happen? If anybody else wants to participate in that, you're more than welcome. Laura?
I'm volunteering.
Okay. Doug, that should be okay, right? You won't feel like it's a 2-to-1 thing there. We're ganging up on you.
No, not at all. I'm tough. I
Okay.
can handle it.
Okay. Yeah. And with your new choppers.
That's right. A whole new set of I don't know, what do you call it? Confidence? What's that?
Okay. So if anybody, Laura and Doug and I will get together and try and come up with some ideas on how to make this happen. Any other new business yeah, Dean?
Just a thought that I think the three of you is fine, but I think if any of us have thoughts and want to communicate to you three email wise, I think
Oh,
that
absolutely.
also be welcomed, and
Oh,
I'm gonna do that, but I don't have time to sit in this meeting.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for thank you for saying that. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Okay. If, Doug.
Yeah, just that I'll make sure to put it on the staff agenda for our January 2nd staff meeting, which is our next staff meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Any new business to come before the body? Okay, then I would like a motion to go into closed session to discuss a personnel matter.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. And this requires a roll call vote. Laura,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Kai,
Sure.
Phil.
Yes.
Doug abstains. I vote aye. So thank you, Doug and Susan and Shali. We're going to have to excuse you now. We appreciate you being here. And
technically, I vote aye to go into closed session, but then
oh, okay,
myself as a member of the union.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Did you get that, Dan?
Kind of.
Doug voted aye on the motion to go into closed session, and now he's abstained as the staff rep. And Doug, Susan, and Shali have left the meeting, and Doug is about to.
Yep,
Okay.
and everyone have a great new year if I don't see you, and
Okay.
thank you for your work.
Thanks,
you, Doug.
Good
Yeah,
luck with
ditto to
your
Thank you.
tower.
Right back at you.
Thank
Turn
you.
off the video too, or the
There's- okay.
recording.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait, let
yeah.
me get
Recording.
the recorder. I've lost my wait. Actions apps.
Okay.
All right.
In closed session, the board discussed personnel matters and took no action. No. In closed session, the board president reported on person and okay, Jeff. No. Jeff, should it say the president reported on a disciplinary matter or just a personnel matter?
I think personnel matter is sufficient.
Okay.
That is the justification for being in executive
Okay.
session, and it that way doesn't reveal anything. I mean,
Okay.
the whole point of executive session is it's not
Okay.
public.
Okay.
But what's public is that we went into executive session for a personnel matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so it reads, in closed session, the president reported on a personnel matter.
The president reported and the board discussed a personnel matter.
Right. I think that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Dean and Jeff, for catching that.
No problem.
Just a personnel matter. All right.
Okay, so with that, the only other action we can take now is to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Yeah.
Second.
So for those who have holidays coming up to celebrate, hope they're happy, safe, and pleasant, and have a great new year. And we'll see you in a month, if not before.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone. Adjourned 8:35.